Hi parents, this is a video to help you do Grandma's footsteps. I have thought about whether to include this, but actually because it's quite hard to teach via video, but I do think it's a really gorgeous game, and I think that the children and you will get a lot out of it. So it's like normal Grandma's footsteps of the child. The idea is the winner is the person that gets to Grandma, the child that's on first. But it's slightly different because we add musical instruments into it. So the idea or the preparation that you will need to do is have some instruments. So I don't have instruments. So for example, my two wooden spoons here are going to be my claves. If you didn't have a shaker, you could just put some rice or some lentils into a pot, or a bottle would be really good, or even just shake some salt. Instead of a drum, you can have your pans as well, and that also gives you the opportunity to play with different things as well. So I could try my pen or different beaters, or just straight with your hand. Obviously, if you do have musical instruments, that would be great, but it's possible to do this without musical instruments. And so yes, I would suggest probably getting about 3 musical instruments or versions of musical instruments like mine ready for the children. Now the person who is on will go first. I would recommend you be on first to teach them what they need to do, or be the different roles to teach them how to do it. So like grandmother is the one that will have a range of instruments with them and decide how the movement goes. So for example, if I'm doing my shaker, I might want you to skip. But if I am doing my wooden spoons that I'm going to call my claves, I might want you to jump. So it is that person decides how the movements are going to be. And it might be, for example, with the one with the drum, I want you to march as you're doing it. So getting the children to make a connection between that sound and a movement. It's also really great for the children because it helps them to grow in confidence. It's this idea that if they're choosing things, they are being more independent, and also the fact that like they're being listened to is a really great thing. It's quite funny as a teacher who has taught lots of older children. The children will still play this game as they get older, so it is like we're teaching them those games that they will become those playground games. So yes, that's your basic setup, that your child your first child, your grandmother, decides what the movements are going to represent. And I really recommend that you be that person first, the grandmother first, and then a child will take over the role. The grandmother then stands with their back to the other children so that they can't see the other children coming towards them, and I would allocate how far away that the other children are, so that they are going to be a bit further away, because their idea is they're trying to get to the grandmother. So the grandmother will stand with their back to the other children, and they will have the instruments. So they will play the instruments. So for example, if I was to play my wooden sticks, my claves, I would be expecting the children to move towards me by jumping. But if I was to play my drum, I would want you to march. And if I was doing this, it would be skipping, but they can change it and you can change what the movements are. It's up to them. So it's a really great one for movement and for listening as well. And obviously also for taking turns. Then as they play that, the children move towards them. But if they stop playing it, the children have to stop. The idea of this game is that the children who are not the grandmother are trying to reach the grandmother first. And so as soon as the other child or you have reached the grandmother, then it's your turn to be on. Probably to start with, I would keep the movements the same. So it would be, for example, that the sticks represent jumping, but over time, as the children get more confident at it, that they decide what the different instruments might mean. So that would be one change that you can make. Another change that you can make is maybe have more instruments. Another change that you can make is, can they do it quiet? Can they do it loud? or can they do it fast? Can they do it slow as well? So it's just seeing what works for your children. But my definite recommendation for this one is that you model it first, because that will make it a lot easier. I hope that's useful. Thank you.